The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me, and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. A very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I don't think. I'm happy because they saved millions of lives. Many.
The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to the Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. The Norwegian Nobel Committee announced its decision in a ceremony in Oslo earlier today.
She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
In 2023, Machado launched a campaign to challenge incumbent President Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela's 2024 election. She was barred from running after the government accused her of corruption and cited her support for U.S. sanctions against Venezuela. Machado has vowed to privatize Venezuela's state oil industry. She's praised right-wing Latin American leaders, including Argentina's Javier Milei. In 2020, her opposition party, Venezuela, signed a pact formalizing strategic ties with Israel's Likud party, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Machado has said that if elected, she'll move Venezuela's embassy in Israel to Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
So let me get this straight. The man who got 300 black women fired wants the Nobel Peace Prize.
They should give me the Nobel Prize.
The man who isn't paying his employees because he got the government shut down, even though he controls the House, the Senate, and the presidency, wants.
I should get the Nobel Peace Prize.
And who is starting a war with basically everybody who doesn't agree with him wants.
I got the Nobel Peace Prize.
Let me break this down to you, man. We do not like you, and we're all working together to get rid of you so we never have to deal with you ever fucking again. And your supporters are just as hateful and non-deserving of that award as you are. So until that day comes, we will never give you the respect or the loyalty that you so much crave. Have the fucking day you deserve, and I will see you very soon. Doses.
Where's my Nobel Peace Prize I don't talk about?
Donald Trump did not get the Nobel Prize this morning, and he and the White House are hopping mad, claiming it was a DEI hire because a Latino woman got the prize. She's the opposition leader in Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado, and they said she didn't deserve it, Trump did. Now let's remind you who gets the Nobel Peace Prize. The person who shall have done the most or the best work for fraternity between nations and the abolition or reduction of standing armies and the formation and spreading of peace congresses. Donald Trump, building up the military more, Department of War come to mind. Fraternity between nations? He turned on the entire world. They hate us now. He's also threatened war 8 or 10 times now. Greenland comes to mind, among other things. He's also declared war on us domestically. And peace? Maybe with Israel. We'll see with Gaza. Let me show you what Trump's White House is claiming about the award. Here's Trump's communication director, Stephen Chung, parroting North Korea. President Trump will continue making peace deals, ending wars and saving lives. He has the heart of a humanitarian, and there will never be anyone like him who can move mountains with the sheer force of his will. The Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace. First of all, really good idea to attack the Nobel Committee. I love that because good way to get the prize. By the way, it was too late for... We knew this was going to happen. It was too late for Trump to get the prize this year, especially for Gaza. They've got to have the nominations in by like February 1st. This Gaza thing happened in the last 2 days. It was too late. But we knew Trump was so dumb that he was going to go, I'm angry, I didn't get it. And now they're attacking the Nobel Committee. He had a chance next year. They've now attacked the committee. And then Trump's top advisor, Laura Loomer, said this. Imagine thinking a woman who cries nonstop about Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela has done more for the world than President Trump. What an absolute joke. Everyone knows President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. More affirmative action nonsense. So they're calling her a DEI hire. And of course, Trump's losing it because a Latino woman beat him. Now, why does Trump say he deserves the Nobel Prize? Because he claims, I've solved 8 or 9 wars. Millions of people would have died in India and Pakistan. No, they wouldn't. India and Pakistan had a skirmish for one day. One bombed one bombed the other. That was it. And India even Trump claimed credit for resolving it, and India goes, no. Millions would have died. Then there's the larger issue of, even if Trump did solve some wars, do you give the Nobel Prize to a racist, fascist, warmongering criminal? Do you? I mean, Trump is the worst president in American history. He's a criminal. He's an authoritarian. He's a fascist. He's trying to eliminate democracy in America. He has created animosity all over the world. He's declared war multiple times now already, right? He's blowing up people in the Caribbean illegally, committing war crimes. He attacked Iran. I'm all for going after Iran, but that was, you don't get a Nobel Peace Prize for declaring war on Iran. Do you really get the Nobel Peace Prize when you're a warmonger? Really? Not to mention he declared war at home. In a year, by the time they do the next award, we could no longer have democracy in this country. We could have we've already got fascism. We could have a full-out dictatorship in this country. He could already have called off the election at that point, because the election will be next year at this time. Gavin Newsom of California says he thinks it's getting called off. Final point here. You know who deserves the Nobel Prize? Gavin Newsom and Governor Pritzker. The resistance deserves the Nobel Prize. Just like in Venezuela, they picked the resistance to autocratic dictators to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Who should be nominated next year is every single one of you and every single one of us. And that will surely tick Trump off, but that is somebody who is meritorious of getting the Nobel Peace Prize. And we just may.
Donald Trump is crying on live TV because he has yet to receive a Nobel Peace Prize, and he says he deserves at least 4 of them. Now, as you know, Donald Trump is jealous that President Obama received the Nobel Prize for Peace, and he's been desperately trying to get one, to the point that his supporters are constantly on TV saying that he should get it. When Donald Trump was asked about his supporters saying this, he had this to say.
Well, they should give me the Nobel Prize for Rwanda, and if you look at the Congo, or you could say Serbia, Kosovo, you could say a lot of them. You could say, the big one is India, and...
Yeah, why not? India, Pakistan. Even though they say he had nothing to do with it, the Nobel Peace Prize Committee should absolutely ignore that and just give Donald Trump one. That is him crying right there. He is complaining because they have not received, or they have not given him a Nobel Peace Prize just because. In fact, he went on to say he won't get it because they only give it to liberals. No, they give it to people who dedicate themselves to peace, not people who say invading Greenland is on the table.
Hi guys, this is Tiana and you're welcome to Tiana's React. So Donald Trump is reportedly furious and deeply hurt after being denied the Nobel Peace Prize, a title he believed was already his. But while he's in pain, Americans can't stop laughing. The internet is flooded with memes, mockery and celebration as the Nobel Committee gives the award to someone they said truly deserves it. He called himself the greatest peacemaker in the modern history, but the Nobel Committee didn't agree. Now, Americans are mocking him everywhere. Trump's reaction says it's all pure pain, pure disappointment. What do you think, guys? Well, let's dive in and see people's reactions to this. But before we move, please do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep the channel moving.
In ironic fashion, Donald Trump loses to, well, not loses because he was never going to win because he doesn't have any integrity. But he does not win the Nobel Peace Prize. He loses to a Venezuelan activist, Maria Machado. And the crazy thing is that she fights for going from dictatorship to democracy. And right now we have Donald Trump actively trying to turn America from a democracy to a dictatorship. So he lost to a woman. He lost to a Latin American woman. He lost to a woman that he's trying to start a war with, bombing Venezuelan ships and everything like that. And he lost to a woman that's doing the exact opposite of what he's doing, going from a dictatorship to democracy, and he's trying to go from democracy to dictatorship. The irony in all of this is so it's so beautiful. And I know that he's seething. He's seething because hours before the winner was announced, Donald Trump was giving his last push, his last, campaign for why he deserves to win. It was like, oh, Obama got it for nothing. Obama was a horrible president. He didn't do anything. And I've ended 7 wars. And now with this whole Israel thing, this is 8 wars. I'm just the greatest. So you're talking about ending wars overseas, all while trying to start one on your own soil. You have stated on camera that half of the American population you hate. Half of the American population is the enemy within. And you have told the military commanders that are under your charge that they need to target half of the American population. That's not peaceful. You have sent the military into cities on American soil. That's not peaceful. You have basically given your maggots a green light to attack their fellow Americans. That's not peaceful. You have said we have gotten rid of the First Amendment. You have demonized people for speaking out against you, and you say they need to be prosecuted. That is not peaceful. There's a delusion going on in Donald Trump's head. He surrounded himself with sycophants. All he wants to hear is praise. Every time he has one of these stupid, sick round tables where all of his cabinet sit around and just jerk him off and tell him how great he is. You are the most wonderful president, that there could never be peace around the world without your leadership and guidance. Every single person he surrounds himself with is a sycophant, and they lie to him. So I truly believe that he truly believes that he deserved a Nobel Peace Prize, despite all of the disruptive, chaotic, evil things that he's done. He truly believed that he is the peacetime president. He truly believed that he deserved this prize. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. The person that actually embodies what this prize represents. And she's the complete antithesis of this whiny orange clown.
The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize did not go to Donald Trump. Instead, it went to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. She won this in her fight to try to restore democracy inside of Venezuela, with the Nobel Committee calling her a brave and committed champion of peace who kept the flame of democracy alive even under a dictatorship. And while the Trump administration and his team was not happy by this, they responded back by saying that the Nobel Committee, they placed politics over peace, and added that he'll keep making deals, ending wars, and saving lives. Since returning to office, Donald Trump did push several peace efforts, including a ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas, trying to mediate between Ukraine and Russia, and just 2 days ago, he did announce a plan for peace inside of Gaza. So do you think that Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, or do you think the committee made the right call? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
Donald Trump, once again, is a very public loser because the Nobel Peace Prize that he so coveted and did not deserve has been awarded to someone else. Yes, Donald Trump has lost again, and it has a lot to do with Venezuela, not just because of who won it, but because of why Trump didn't. And he can't accept that. And so he and the rest of MAGA is melting down. And we get into Trump's meltdown over his Nobel Peace Prize loss. I want to start with how his strikes on boats on the coast of Venezuela and the person from Venezuela who won this award are making Donald Trump so furious. But first, let's start with those strikes. Donald Trump's proxy war, essentially, that Chris Murphy broke down right here.
We took a really important vote in the Senate last night that largely went unnoticed, and I want to tell you about it. Trump's authoritarianism, which is growing in seriousness inside the United States, is now happening overseas as well. A lot of people haven't paid attention to this, but the president has essentially begun a war by taking down boats in the Caribbean with airstrikes that he claims are being operated by drug cartels. He has offered no evidence of who's in these boats. They might be members of drug cartels, but they could be civilians, they could be Americans. But B, and more importantly, the president has no authorization to just decide that he is going to use U.S. military power overseas without congressional authorization, without the consent of the public. Most of these strikes are in the Caribbean. They are off the coast of Venezuela. There's real risk that these strikes could draw the United States into a war with Venezuela, a war that nobody in this country wants. But again, the principle is probably what's most important. This is a president who just doesn't believe that he is subject to the law.
What part of extrajudicial killings makes you the peace president, is my question. Donald Trump has shown again and again that not only does he not care for the law, he has contempt for the law. He hates it. It's the reason why he has broken it so many times at home and of course the International Criminal Code, which is what Donald Trump is doing every time he is randomly striking boats off the coast of Venezuela because his immigration plan is going so poorly at home, another illegal attack with political violence, by the way, that he has to commit political violence abroad to pretend that he's the big, strong, tough guy, and he is not. There's nothing tough. There's no peace through strength that comes from this. It is just Donald Trump trying to expand his authoritarian project and exercising what is this illegal action. And it is why those actually fighting for freedom in Venezuela have been bestowed the Peace Prize that Donald Trump so desperately wanted. Before we get into his post, I want to talk about the real winner because this is important news. Nobel chair defends decision as he's grilled about Trump's campaign for Peace Prize. The chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee pushed back against suggestions that this year's Nobel Peace Prize decision was made to spite Donald Trump's.
We have some big news right now. The White House and MAGA Republicans are freaking out after Donald Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize today. Instead, with the Nobel Committee awarding it to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who is very well deserving of this extraordinary prize. And they're not happy because they thought that Donald Trump not only should win, but they're also not happy because he lost to a Latina woman. Laura Loomer, one of Donald Trump's closest people on the internet, says, imagine thinking a woman who cries nonstop about Nicolas Maduro has done more for the world than President Trump. What an absolute joke. Everyone knows Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. More affirmative action nonsense. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said on his official account, President Trump will continue making peace deals, ending wars and saving lives. He has the heart of a humanitarian, and there will be never be anyone like him who can move mountains with the sheer force of his will. The Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace. Not happy at the White House this morning, so spread the word. We're waiting for Trump's reaction. Follow along for more.
Everybody that was a candidate to be a Nobel Prize to be considered this year, their applications had to be submitted before January 31st of 2025, which means President Trump had just been president for 11 days. You can't nominate him. He hadn't done anything yet. You know, President Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize 8.5 months of being a president. You know what that means? That means 2 weeks after he became president, they started nominating him to be considered as a Nobel Prize winner.
Wow.
So even though we say he won the Nobel Prize only 9 months later, he didn't. He won it 2 weeks later. Think about the madness of people who nominated him 2 weeks later, and you have a guy here that is stopping all the wars that started under Biden, you know, whether it's the Ukraine, Russia that he's still dealing with, whether it's the, Hamas, Israel. Think about the stuff that he's doing, but the level of hypocrisy. The one person I will give credit to is I thought it was such a beautiful moment where Maria Corina Machado, who ends up getting the Nobel Peace Prize, in her tweet, she did something that Obama should have done. She gave credit to the president and the White House, and that's how class looks like. Good for Maria Corina Machado.
As you are likely aware, Donald Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. And if you, like me, were a little nervous about that because that is just how wonky the world is right now. And by wonky, I mean totally fucked up. You were a little, it could happen. Then I would remind myself that the U.S. government was not involved in that decision, so integrity still had a chance.
Maria Corina Machado.
Now, I'm not too proud to admit that I have no idea who that is, but I can tell it's a woman and she's not white. And for totally vindictive reasons, my response to that is yay. Because I have the ability to Google, unlike what appears to be half the internet, I DuckDuckGo. I can tell you this woman fought for democracy for the people of Venezuela. Maybe she can come here and help. Described as having an extraordinary amount of courage, a unifying figure who helped bring together oppositional parties for real, like Can We Get Her Here? Venezuela devolved from a relatively democratic country to one of brutal authority and dictatorship. It was a prosperous country who started to suffer greatly under authoritarian leadership. Point made, Nobel Peace Prize people. This authoritarian regime enacted violence against its own people. More than 8 million people left the country, and there was election rigging. I wonder if Elon Musk was as familiar with their voting machines as Donald Trump claims he is about ours. So this award acknowledges the fact that Venezuela is in trouble. This may actually be used to fuel Trump's fire against Venezuela. He's been looking for a WAR to, put off those elections. He's been targeting Venezuela anyway by eliminating their little boats that he claims involved illegal activity, of course, offering no evidence whatsoever. Obviously, she's an amazing person who deserves this award, unlike our president, who is about to direct a lot of misplaced anger at his own citizens, because, Trump.
It is so funny to watch the MAGA Republicans melt down over Donald Trump not winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobody cares. But I guess I can go over it a little bit. I think it's fairly safe to say they'll give this to anybody. I don't know the lady who got it. That should say something in itself. But they gave it to people like Obama. God, man. Are you kidding me? This is such a left-wing BS thing anymore. For the Nobel Peace Prize, it doesn't mean that I don't know of any MAGA supporters or fans or whatever you're calling them, Harry, that are melting down over this. Honestly, we don't care. We know what he's doing. We know he's the best president that we've had in our generation, our lifetime, probably since the beginning. I would put him right up there with George Washington, maybe Abraham Lincoln. But I don't think anybody's melting down about this. I could really care less, other than it's in the news and you're talking about it and people are talking about it. So I'm going to talk about it and comment on it. I think it's funny because you just misconstrue everything when speaking of Mr. Donald Trump, our president. So that's how you're making all your views. I get it. I don't get any views near what you get. Maybe that's the truth talking, or maybe it's just I don't get out there and spew the crap you do. Hey, but God bless you, man. This is TikTok. You got to cause controversy to get any kind of views anymore. So God bless you, Harry. But hey, man, do better.
So guys, this is a lesson. Peace isn't about pride or power. The world has spoken and America's message is loud and clear. Real peace speaks louder than self-praise. While Trump notices his pride, Americans are busy turning his laws into laughter. The Nobel Prize may be gone, but the memes, they've just begun. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep the channel moving. Till next time.